In a city that has been plagued by gun violence, one of the most prolific and notorious killers to come out of New Orleans is a 26-year-old admitted drug dealer who goes by the name Rabbit. He has admitted to more killings than anyone else in the city's recent history. By his own account, Stewart participated in 12 homicides within a 15-month period that started in early 2010 when he was just 18 years old. One of those homicides was the murder of New Orleans legend bounce rapper Magnolia Shorty in December of 2010. An assault that came in a barrage of more than 50 bullets. Gregory Stewart grew up in the 9th Ward of New Orleans in an area known as the G Strip. He was only 4 years old when he witnessed his first homicide death. He watched as the boyfriend of his mother died right in front of him on his grandmother's living room floor. By the age of 11, Stewart had already started petty hustling, selling marijuana and cocaine in the neighborhood. At the age of 15, he earned the nickname Rabbit, a nod to his ability to evade law enforcement. Around the same time, Stewart also got his start in drug trafficking and began transporting heroin from Houston to New Orleans by way of Greyhound for a man named Daryl Franklin, also known as Breezy. Stewart and Franklin became like brothers. Another very close associate of Rabbit was a man by the name of Louis Daniels. It was Daniels who took Stewart under his wing and trained him in the art of murder. Stewart took part in his first murder by the age of 16. The victim was a man named Calvin Brumfield. On September 7, 2007, he and a group of friends were hanging out on the G Strip after a night of clubbing when a gunman emerged from a backyard and opened fire on the group, hitting one of Stewart's associates 9 times. According to Stewart, after the gunman emptied his weapon, Stewart and other members of the G Strip assaulted him and shot him once in the head with a .38 caliber pistol. Daryl Franklin was so impressed by Stewart that he introduced him to one of his closest associates, a big-time drug dealer by the name of Merle Offray, also known as Black. Around this time, the G Strip began to merge with a notorious Central City gang called 3NG, known for its stronghold at 3rd and Galvez Streets. Together the group became known as the 39ers. It was an unlikely pairing that would wreak havoc on the streets of New Orleans for several years. Gregory Stewart rose to power in the newly formed 39ers gang under the leadership of Merle Offray and Daryl Franklin. The heroin trade was a lucrative business, and Stewart had the right connections. But making money wasn't his only talent. Stewart would become known as one of the most ruthless and heartless killers in New Orleans history. In a gruesome murder spree that lasted nearly a year and a half, Stewart and other members of the 39ers rained terror on the streets of New Orleans. On the night of February 22 in 2010, Gregory Stewart orchestrated a gangland-style ambush on a member of the Press Park gang, whom he believed was responsible for shooting one of his associates. Armed with 3 AK-47 assault rifles and a handgun, Stewart and 3 other members of the 39ers drove to the Bunker Hill neighborhood in East New Orleans to stake out a home. Stewart comes up with the plan. The group split up into 2 teams, one at each end of the block. The teams will lay and wait for the victim to exit the home and enter his vehicle, and then ambush him from both directions. After a few hours, the victim exits the home, but there is a problem. He has company. Stewart gets a phone call from a member of the other team notifying him that there's a female in the vehicle. Stewart tells the team to, quote, "kill everybody in the car." The 2 teams spring into action. According to Stewart, it was 3NG member BMG Pound who took the lead in the assault. With the car trapped in, Pound allegedly sprung from his vehicle with an AK-47 and riddled the car with bullets until there was no more movement inside. On April 13, 2010, Gregory Stewart and other 39ers were hanging out at Wing Shack on Desire Street near the Florida Projects when he noticed a familiar face in a parked car sitting across the street. The face was the face of his former partner turned arch nemesis, Lloyd Curry, known by most as Slugger. This was enough to make Stewart uneasy, but there was no time to prepare for what happened next. Moments later, another car pulled up and 3 gunmen hopped out and began opening fire on Stewart and his group, killing 2 of his associates. Without missing a beat, Stewart, Merle Offray, and Darrell Franklin got in their vehicle and went looking for their assailants. They spotted the vehicle near the Desire Projects and trailed it until it came to a stop. 2 of the assailants exited the vehicle to go stash the weapons, leaving 1 man, Gutter, behind. Stewart's plan was to go after the gunman, while Merle and Franklin took care of the driver, but things instantly took a wrong turn. Upon exiting the vehicle, Merle shot Stewart in the arm by accident, leaving him in no shape to pursue the men. Stewart turned his attention to Gutter instead. With 1 good arm, he lifted an AK-47 assault rifle and shot inside of the vehicle until he was sure the driver was dead. A news report captured the events of that day.
Another violent day in New Orleans today. 7 people shot and 2 dead in just 90 minutes.
WTSU News reporter Keith Allen is on your side live now in the 9th Ward. So Keith, again, a very active scene out there. How did this all kind of play out? How did it all start?
Well, it all started earlier this afternoon, really around midday today at the intersection of North Dupree, St. Anne. 3 people shot. Thankfully, none of those injuries were life-threatening. And then the next shooting at about 1:20 this afternoon right here at the intersection of Desire and Law. A hail of gunfire broke out. Sadly, 2 people wound up being killed at this location. A 3rd person is in the hospital at this point, clinging to life. And then right around the corner from here, really a stone's throw away in the 2800 block of Cluett Street at Cluett and Industry, yet another shooting. A lot of gun casings on the ground. 1 person gravely injured. That person is also in the hospital. They don't know whether these 2 shootings, because they are so close together, may be related. Police are investigating that as we speak.